Hey y'all, Natalie here, and today is another video in my series with Sara Scraps called Color First. We are starting with this mood board you can see over here on the right. Sara's picked this month, and it is these gorgeous four spring colors, and I'm going to use all of those colors. They inspired me to dig back in my archives. I went back to Easter 2020. It was like when we were all still shut down, but I made my kids dress up and look super cute for Easter or that weekend sometime. So I realized I hadn't scrapbooked a picture of Heath alone on that day, so I went back and I'm filling in the gaps. So I have watercolor paper, and I'm using Twisted Citron Distress Oxide spray, and then I didn't have the right pink, so I'm mixing Tattered Rose and Picked Raspberry on the watercolor sheet and then adding water and blending them together, and that gave me the perfect pink that matched the pink in the color inspiration. I am also using Carved Pumpkin and Tumbled Glass. Carved Pumpkin is especially bright. That's the orange color. But once I add the water, it tones it down and makes it the absolute perfect color that matches in the mood board. So I was really glad that Sara picked this because it inspired me, like I said, to dive in, pick a photo that I hadn't told the story of yet, and get it done. And plus, I'm in a really springy mood. I'm ready for winter to be over. I think she is too, so maybe that's what she had in mind when she picked this. So I let all of those pieces dry. Now that one green I just sprayed directly on and let it dry. The other one I diluted with water. So you can see that it gave a really big difference because it is a Distress Oxide spray. So I'm spraying direct water, or just plain water, directly onto my glass mat. And then I'm taking these leaf stamps from the stamp market, and I'm just going to stamp them onto the full sprayed Distress Oxide page in hopes that the water does exactly what it did on the opposite side where it, faded out the color. And so I just want it to fade out the color in the shape of the leaf. So my idea is that I want to take all these watercolor papers that I just filled with color, and I want to die cut them all. But I am going to do some stamping, tone on them. So I just stamped with the exact same stamp pad on to the watercolored background with this poppy stamp. It's a floral stamp from the stamp market as well. I think it's the same sheet. It's something about poppies. But for the pink, because I didn't have the proper color and it had a mix, I do have to add a little bit of water to get it to mix together to give me the right pink color. And so those are maybe not as defined when I stamp them, but you can still tell that it is a flower. And then I'm going to go through and use the matching die to die cut it. So it worked well. I really actually love the orange one, the Carved Pumpkin. When I stamp onto the watercolored background with that, it looks just so beautiful. I love tone on tone stamping. And then I'm also going to use a few other floral dies that just don't have stamps to go with them. So I'll just die cut them directly out of the colored paper. So you can see I have them all die cut there on the right. I'll spread them out in a few minutes. And so I start building my page, and I grabbed a orange piece of cardstock, and I was considering it. It was the perfect orange that was in the mood board, but I start putting a few florals on it, and then I'm like, no, this is just a little much. At least for the color or for the spring vibe of the page. Maybe if I was doing like a summer page and I wanted to be really vibrant, that would have worked, but I quickly changed to white. I just felt like I had been doing a lot of white backgrounds lately, but you know what? If it's working, don't mess with it. So some of those that floral is from Momenta. That leaf is from Alta New. Those are all dies in my collection. I think that tiny floral is from Catherine Pooler. So I'm thinking like a linear rectangle across the middle of the page and tuck the big picture at the top and the two small pictures in the bottom right. But then I thought, it really just needs something on the background. And so I decide to do some ink blending. So I dump all those die cuts off, and I grab my blending brush from, I think these are Catherine Pooler, and I use it to just put the tumbled glass directly, very softly in the middle of the page in a rectangular shape. So I turn the page upside down to get the same look going the other direction. I'm like dominantly right-handed, like dominant. I can't use my left hand for anything, and it shows. So I have to twist the page to get the look I want. Sarah's page is so cute today. Make sure you go check her out. I have her video linked in the comments or in the description box below, although you probably all came from her. But anyway, so I laid this floral stencil on top of the blended ink background. Well, it's not blended because it's just one ink, but anyway. And then I use a baby white to pick it up. So you can see it just gives a really lovely ghost effect of those florals. And now I'm just going to do another layer. So I grabbed another floral stencil and I'm going to brush it through there. So I have like 3 layers now of color going down, and I love the effect that you get with distress oxides when you add water and take away water, and it really just gives a fun layered effect. So you're really not going to see a lot of this because I do put a ton of those die cuts and the pictures back on top, but I just wanted it peeking around. So I added the stenciling, and now I'm going through with really big droplets of water loose on my paintbrush, and I'm using them to kind of give a mottled effect with the distress oxide. So also up there at the top, you can see where I kind of stenciled outside of the line, and I did not gesso this page, but it's fabulous. I mean, it's distress oxide and it's really easy to just wipe up with a baby wipe. And it came up really nicely because it was just a little bit outside of the area. Plus I knew that I was going to go through and add splatters. So if it left a little mark, it's fine too. So I just used it as watercolors and go back through with my very small paintbrush, and I'm just doing splatters on the very edge of the rectangle. Just because that's my style. I like to have a distressed look even on a pretty spring page. That's going to be my go-to. So I add some really teeny splatters all the way around the edges of this triangle. And I really had a lot of fun making this page. It was not a colored palette that I would normally gravitate towards. So I love that. I love getting to do like challenges like this, or working with someone else that has a different style or pick something different than you, and getting to adapt it to your own style. That's really fun. And if you guys are interested, we would love for you to use the mood board too, and like tag us if you make something that is inspired by it. We would love to see it. That would excite us a lot, to be honest. That's why we do this, right? We're here to inspire. So I'm going to go ahead and commit to exactly where I want those photos so that I can build the florals up around it. And I won't make you watch me stick all those because it was a lot, but I am using my Nuvo adhesive. It works really well. And it has a fine nozzle that gets into the really small bits. So I basically had no rhyme or reason. I just tried not to put 2 exact same flowers next to one another, and I tried to put the color evenly across the whole page, and layering and grouping all of my favorite things, making sure the leaves are going in a different direction so that it seems like I would just have gathered a bunch of flowers in the middle of the page, like in bouquets, to vignette my photos. Yeah. So I grabbed the, I don't even remember what collection this is, Paige Evans puffy thickers, and it was a spring collection. I'm sorry, I'm blanking out on the name. It's a few years ago, but it had the word spring, and it was in the beautiful green and blue that matched. So I added in some pink that matched the mood board, and so the title is going to be Spring Smiles. And he had this like cute little gap in between his teeth from where he was like losing teeth left and right. I think it was first grade, so it's when all your friends' teeth fall out, right? So I just nestled the word smiles in between spring, and I thought, I added a couple butterflies. So on that same thicker puffy sheet, it had some butterflies that matched. So I added those in, as well as some puffy hearts. And I was going to be done. And then I thought, there's a few blank spaces. Why don't I do tonal tone stamping? I had a few Easter like phrase stamps. So I went in some of the little blank areas that didn't have any flowers with some tone on tone that I used the same tumbled glass blue Distress Oxide, and I stamped. I also cut off the top strip here, very, very thin bit, and I roughed up the edges, and then I put it atop of this really pretty pattern striped paper that had all of the colors from the mood board that I used on the layout. And so it was just a nice little pop of color up at the top, and it matched really perfectly, and I thought that it would just be a little bit of interest to add to the top of the page. I thought about adding some down at the bottom, but again, I have been doing this look a lot lately, so this is different. Like I normally add at the top and the bottom, so I thought, what if I just add at the top this time? I even thought about adding a couple more florals down there at the bottom, but I had already used them all, and I didn't want to have to die cut anymore. Basically, that was a lazy design choice. But I still love the way that it looks, so that's fine. So I add in those stamps, and then I put a date stamp in as well, and you'll see all of that off camera in the end. This is me thinking, like, what more am I going to add? Because I thought about adding the Pink Fresh Studio jewels too, because I know I have like all those colors, but it was real busy with the florals, so I didn't think that jewels were a necessity, although I do think that if you added them, they would look nice. Maybe I might have to go back and add them. I don't know. Sparkle does make everything better, right? So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I'm going to pop my affiliate links down below if you'd like to go shopping. Like I said, I'm going to put Sarah's link down below, so definitely check out her video. Her page is so cute. She has little Sara on her page, little baby Sara. And I had a lot of fun with this, so watch out for us next month coming at you again. But make sure to remember sometimes to start with color first, and it will inspire you maybe to use some photos you forgot about. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.